episode 6.
Actual episode 6.
Actual episode 6.
None of that 5B bullshit.
Of the right reasons. I just sneezed on myself. Have you guys ever done that? Where you put on a nice dress, and you're like, oh, I look cute. And then you sneeze, and you get this? Why won't it go away? What is that? Oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah, I hate when I wear a dress and sneeze on myself.
I know. It's really the worst.
It's the worst thing. All right, just make sure that we're live. Make sure that it sounds good. We sound good. Okay.
All right, fabulous.
Let's get this road on the show. So if you listen to the podcast, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to make sure you get notified whenever we do these. We do them every Tuesday morning while the Bachelor franchise is on TV.
It's true.
It is true.
One thing I wanted to...
Any housekeeping?
say, and now I don't remember what it was because I didn't write it down.
Oh. Well, if you remember it, let us know while we're doing this thing.
I will. Oh, if you're watching this on YouTube, can you do us a favor, please, and hit the thumbs up button? That button does magical things on YouTube. And
actual magic.
I knew it was important. I did not know the magic of the thumbs up button.
When we started this channel, we read all the guides and the how-tos, how to make a great YouTube channel, and they're like, make sure they hit the little thumbs up thing. And we're like, oh, okay. But now on this end of it, it does actually make a lot of sense why they hammer that in early on in the how-to YouTube guides.
Yeah. So if you could hit the thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube, we would super duper appreciate it.
Be a thumbs up from us.
All right. So let's dive in. It's episode 6. Whoever's watching live, just hit thumbs up. Thank you.
Thank you, viewer.
Thank you so much. So it's episode 6, week 7, which is very confusing.
It just makes it sound stupid. This is why you don't do this 5B bullshit. This is whatever. I have so many tinfoil hat theories as to why they had to do what they did last week.
Oh, so many.
It's a lot of,
So we start off, we're in Latvia, because, obviously that's where we left off.
I do have one more thing to announce.
Oh, yeah.
As we get into this. It has to do with last week also. I don't know if everyone has seen, but Rachel went on Cheddar TV to talk about
I did.
the show that we're reviewing live. And it was amazing.
I did. They brought me in as a consultant to talk about Luke P. and his behavior and why Hannah's keeping him. And it was...
There's a car outside honking a lot.
New York. It was really awesome. So we'll link it below if you did not catch the segment. Thanks, babe.
Well, we do this, but we also did this, and Rachel got on TV for it, so that's super, super exciting. So
yeah, more
opportunities in the future.
I really think it's important to get the message out there. If we're going to all sit and have somebody like Luke P. on our television screens every week, there needs to be some good that comes of it. And from where I'm sitting, the best good is to educate around what he's doing so that hopefully it can prevent other people from being in the same position or being manipulated. Thank you to the other people who clicked the thumbs up button. This is so cool to watch.
Thanks, up from
guys.
me.
Thumbs up.
I just wanted to call that to attention. Rachel went on TV last week specifically to talk about what we talk about here, so that's amazing. And if you haven't checked it out, put the link in the show notes. And so this is episode 7 of The Right Reasons.
No, it's 6 because we did the first 2 together.
We did 5B. That's right.
So it's episode 6 for all of us.
It's so confusing. See, if you just don't screw it up anymore, ABC be happy. Anyway, episode 6 named Love in Latvia.
It is called that. So we jump right back into Latvia.
Yep.
And which no one can say, which is weird.
It's not Latvia. That sounds. I know that's wrong, and yet Hannah was calling it Latvia.
You said it sounded like Lotkeys.
Yeah, the way she said, which I still don't think is how you're supposed to say Latka, right? It's a Latka, not a Lotkey.
Well, it's either.
Potato pancakes.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
All right, so now I want potato pancakes as soon as we're done.
Me too. That sounds amazing. Right? Okay, so we tune in to Hannah in a church. There's some B-roll of her, which, by the way, I saw somebody asking what B-roll was.
Oh.
B-roll is the footage that a TV show will put on while there's a voiceover going on, or if on the news when they're reporting and they're like, a new study shows that blah, 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 blah,
and it
blah,
shows
blah.
like
And
a
it
scientist like doing something. You're like, oh, okay.
That's B-roll.
Yeah.
So if we were to ever edit in a clip of something into this show, that would be considered B-roll. So for those of you who were asking about that, I just wanted to...
Good
and
clarification.
Hannah says that Latvia seems like a great place for a fresh start. And this, to me, was so evident that she does not understand. And no really fault of her at this point in time. We can talk about more later what happens at the end. But it reminded me how she does not see that Luke is the entire problem. She's like, okay, I talked to them. They get it. They're not going to, like, be jealous or get in fights anymore. We're going to move on, and it's a fresh start. And at this point in time, it's like she does not get that that's who he is.
He's the problem.
And that it's not going to be a fresh start until he's gone.
Yeah.
So that was very... I wrote down, Peter is still adorable. Mike is still adorable. Tyler is still hot as fuck. And I cannot look at Garrett and Jed the same way anymore. Let's address that.
We should address that. So...
Between last week and this week.
Right. Well, so the issue here is that every contestant who is on the season of The Bachelorette now and who has gone home, they're all under non-disclosure agreements, which means they cannot talk about the show in any format whatsoever. So if you ask them on the street, hey, what happened? They cannot tell you.
It's a $5 million fine.
That's why they're not on TV talking about it. So some stuff came out about two of the contestants of this season, Jed and Garrett. Garrett, similar to
other
Becca's Garrett, he got identified. Some people are combing through his social media history, and which is commonplace for the Bachelor world now. Whether or not it's healthy, it's not our call, but it is commonplace. Well, it is important. I wish that
the show did it.
It wasn't, just people doing it, and the show would actually do their due diligence and actually do some background checks. But turns out this Garrett, similar to last Garrett, has been liking some posts that are homophobic, anti-transgender, anti-global warming, which is confusing since he's a golf pro, and motherfucker, your job relies on the weather. So if that starts going downhill, or continues to go downhill, you're out of a job.
Yeah, it was
Dick.
And look, to be fair, this is what's hard, is that we're getting all of this without having them being able to defend themselves.
That's the problem.
So, yes, there's a screenshot of Garrett's Instagram handle liking these photos, and in no way am I defending that behavior. When did he like them, though?
That's the thing. I think some of them are from 2015, early on.
People can grow, and people can change, and, I mean, look at people who maybe didn't support gay marriage, 10 years ago, or in 2008, and then now they have actually learned and enlightened themselves, and maybe they're not like at the Pride Parade, but they're not against human rights. Yeah. So, but it's really hard to look at Garrett the same way now because it's icky.
It's icky.
And then Jed, the news that came out around Jed.
This has my tinfoil hat 100% on because he can't say anything. And then all of a sudden, People magazine has this entire that he had a girlfriend leading right up to the show.
He told her
that he was going on just for his music career, and then that was it. And then he's going to be with her, and she's like, cool. He's going to go on, do his music thing, and then come home to me.
Okay, let's just examine that for a second.
In what way? In the way that she's okay with someone doing that?
Yeah.
And being her partner?
Yeah.
Like, she's got to know that he's going to have to, if he wants to stay in the show, there's an intimacy that's going to occur at some point.
Right. So
and if they're supposed to be dating, then
she's saying, it's okay with me that you go manipulate another woman.
Yeah.
So,
doesn't sound good when you say it that way. Not that it sounded good in the first place, but it sounds worse that way.
But that is what it is.
I know. I'm aware of that. Sounds bad.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what Jed has to say about this when he can talk, because obviously this is her side of the story. It seems pretty truthful.
Yeah.
However, we don't know.
And that's the issue of the non-disclosure agreements is that the Garrett social media stuff, that's one thing. That's fans doing some searching, finding some stuff, and kind of communicating amongst themselves, and then some news channels kind of picked up the story here and there. But People Magazine running a full article about this with the interview from the girlfriend without Jed being able to say anything at the time that he's getting more serious with Hannah on the show. I mean, like tinfoil hat, it all smells weird. It all looks weird. It sounds weird. I don't know if she's lying and sold the story. I don't know if People Magazine had permission. Who knows? It's very confusing.
I know. So I'm looking forward to when we can hear both Garrett and Jed's side of things.
Yeah. Because this Garrett does what last Garrett did, where he had talked to Becca, and she's like, hey, man, so people don't like when you support this stuff because they are personally attached by these people. So you're contributing to that. He's like, oh, I can see how that would look poorly. And then he put out a sort of half-assed but genuine, I think, apology to social media and went on their way. And from all I understand, it's been fine since. So maybe it's that.
And the whole idea that people can't change.
Yeah.
So people, I think, if I didn't believe that people could change, I'd have the worst job in the whole world.
You wouldn't have a job.
Right? Like, I watch people evolve. We both do. But, like, I've been watching people evolve as a therapist for a really long time. Now, I think that, like, fundamentally, there are certain things about ourselves that cannot change.
Mm.
And I do think that beliefs are something that can. You can be raised Catholic and then decide that you're agnostic or atheist or vice versa.
Yeah.
Or anywhere in between. So somebody can grow up in a bubble with certain beliefs that are, homophobic, anti-trans.
Right.
And then learn about the world outside of their bubble and change their mind. I'm in no way saying that what he did was okay.
No.
I just would like to hear the whole story before totally passing judgment.
Right. So we are going to do our best for the remainder of this episode to just sort of be face value. We don't know anything from social media. We're just going to go along with it.
Which was hard. It was really hard to watch Garrett's date and not let that information skew my watching.
Yes, I will make a few more comments, but I'm going to do my best not to throughout the entirety of this episode.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
so Luke says,
I
think all of us need this week. I know the last rose ceremony was really frustrating for me because I had a lot to lay on the table.
Man, it's frustrating for all of us.
Yeah.
So, this is the issue with Luke this episode. He gets a lot of screen time, a lot of airtime, which is just awesome. The issue is that some things need to be paid attention to and commented on for the sake of this show, and then a lot of it doesn't, and I gloss over that. And this, to me, is just the beginning of the Luke bullshit, where he's just trying to interject himself into everything, and most of it's just wasted screen time. There are a few nuggets that we do pull out that we'll talk about. However, there's a common theme for the remainder of this episode that I appreciate, which is Tyler straight up confronting Luke in a way that is non-aggressive and is very intentional on his part. So, Luke shares, as Rachel just said, his frustration that last week he got involved in everything and it ruined his chance to do something. He doesn't say that, but that's what it did, was get involved in everything and ruin it for everybody else. As we talk about later on in this, he ruined 3 cocktail parties in a row.
Yeah.
Tyler says, hey man, that frustration you're feeling right now, that's a taste of your own medicine. Because that's what we've been feeling. And now you're dealing with your own actions.
And he even said it kinder than that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the way that Tyler, and this is something I really appreciate about him, and I think part of why, aside from the fact that he's just, like, drop-dead gorgeous, objectively.
The accent makes it sound nicer.
It's his tone, it's his delivery, everything about him is so gentle, yet I feel like if I were walking down the street with Tyler and somebody came up and tried to steal my purse, he'd just punch him in the face. But yet, I don't feel aggression from him.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he has the capacity for that, but that's not how he lives his day-to-day life.
If you told me that he would go into a phone booth that don't exist anymore and turn into Superman inside, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thinly veiled Clark Kent disguise. So, they do the one-on-one announcement. Garrett gets the one-on-one, which is the thing that we'll comment on later.
I was surprised that the bungee... So, in the preview, when we got the season preview, which was obviously the best part of 5B, it seemed like the bungee jumping date was going to come later.
I'm happy they got it out of the way, though.
Yeah,
Rip that Band-Aid off.
It was kind of nice that just happened already. So I was like, oh, cool, we can get past this weird, like, Luke P. jealousy thing coming up.
We thought we could.
I know.
I started writing down Luke P's quotes in the same text as how Ron Burgundy in Anchorman talks, which is just a sort of a full volume shout and announcement. And this is part of it. So they obviously have Luke comment on almost every single thing that happens this entire episode. So I glossed over the majority of it. This one makes me laugh, though, because Garrett gets the one-on-one, and Luke P's in the ITM. He says, I'm jealous about this. I don't like that he's going to be around her. But you know what? Garrett's going to go home tonight. There's no guy that feels the way that I do about her, and he doesn't. And he's going to go home, and that is a scientific fact. He said, that's a fact, 4 or 5 times. I put in scientific because it reminded me of Ron Burgundy. But
I was like,
he just stated,
saying that.
That's a fact that I know. Luke P knows a fact that Garrett is going home at the end of this episode. Spoiler alert, he's wrong.
Yes. So Hannah and Garrett go on their dates.
Bungee jumping.
And they're walking through the woods in Latvia. And they see 2 naked people, or what we were told were naked. Who knows? I don't know. Bungee jump out of this thing. And it appears as though Hannah is just as surprised as Garrett that they're naked. Obviously, she knew they were going bungee jumping.
Right.
So I just want to take a second and talk about what we think of that. Like the ethics behind... Okay, let me rephrase.
Okay.
They show up on the date. Cameras are there. Production obviously knew that they were going to go naked because people were jumping. Like, that was planned.
Right.
Hannah did not know, which she confirms after the commercial. Because, remember, I was like, does she not know? Her face looks like she doesn't know. And then we come back from commercial, and she's like, so I didn't know. And so it's confirmed. So both Hannah and Garrett did not know that they were going to be encouraged strongly to be naked during the bungee jumping. What do we think of this, you guys?
So I have my thoughts on it. If there had been very little manipulation of the leading up to this point of the show, then I see it as a fun coercion, like, hey, but leave it as an option. If they were like, hey, you can go bungee jumping and hold each other, or you can really step up and get naked and do it.
And do the Latvia tradition.
Your choice. And then it's between the 2 of them to see if they want to take it seriously enough, or be that risky, or that safe, or whatever. And that gives the opportunity for production to be kind of obvious about how they're like, you guys want to get naked on camera? You want to have fun? But with the amount of manipulation they have done, not even behind the scenes, blatantly to the camera in this season, it leaves me feeling a little gross. That at every point we've seen Hannah try to do something for herself, she is sort of undercut by production or the other people on the show, and what she truly wants, I feel like, is never really what she gets, which is kind of unfortunate. And this is an issue for me, at least.
Yeah.
It feels weird.
I guess I don't trust production at this point, that if she or Garrett had said, I feel incredibly uncomfortable with this. I did not know that this was going to be part of the date. I would like to not do this, and I would like to have you edit this part out, and we will go bungee jumping with our clothes on. I don't trust that production wouldn't put that in the show and then frame it as, oh, she's a prude, or he's a prude, or make them look like wusses or something for not going. And
which, actually, now that you say that, there's manipulation and coercion for Garrett happening, too, because we find out later on that, so they ask you, what are your fears? What are things that you like to do when you're getting cast? And one of his fears that he shared with production is a fear of heights.
And we find out, he comes back and tells the guys, he said, I don't know if you guys know this, but I haven't even been on a roller coaster. I'm so afraid of heights.
So they put him in a situation where he was already afraid and then doubled down on it with the naked thing. So, could you imagine, in a traditional, like, heteronormative masculine sense, this guy is all of a sudden facing a huge fear and then being pushed to be naked also, which you find out they're wearing like little thongs anyway.
Well, he was wearing like short boxer briefs.
Yeah.
She had her underwear on, but she did take off her bra. And I don't know, it
felt weird.
Don't get me wrong. I think that overall, they clearly enjoyed themselves. It turned out to be great, and she was really excited for the experience, and she felt empowered by it.
Yes.
And at the end, great. Like, that's fantastic. I guess it was just how we got there. Yeah. I wish that there had been a little bit of, like, hey, Hannah, we're going to, offer this option. And like you said, maybe let them decide together. Yeah,
like if Chris had popped out of the forest like he's known to do and been like, hey, you two, we have this awesome thing. You can do it like you want to do it, or you can go the Latvian style and do it this way. Leave it up to them instead of making it weird if they don't do it that way. That's my big issue.
That was it. Yeah. Is that if they had said, no, we'll go bungee jumping but not naked, then it would have been like they were backing out. I don't know.
It was weird.
That part just felt weird. I would love to know what you guys think of this.
Yeah. So then they flirt. It's cute. They do like this primal scream thing by the edge of the river, which is kind of entertaining. They have champagne by the river. Hannah makes jokes about her boobs, calls them her boobies, which is kind of endearing and also like a little odd.
She's fun. No, I just really like watching her be playful.
Yep.
So much of this season has been like her having to like
deal serious,
manage children, and that I mean, really, like she's been like the zookeeper or like a traffic director, if we want to use this stay in your own lane analogy that keeps coming up.
Yeah, I forget about that.
But what I really liked about their conversation was that. Wait, are we there yet?
Oh, when he's affirming with the we're there. Where they're talking with the,
the
fireplace.
So he says, first of all, that setting was romantic AF.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the champagne, the fire in the woods, that was great. Again, I had trouble watching them, because had that been anybody else, really, aside from Jed, I would have been like, oh my god, this is awesome. But the fact that we had this knowledge about Garrett's instinct, like, it was just hard for me. But they really had a good time, and I liked what he said, although he did not truly like follow through on this behavior-wise towards the end of the episode, even though I understand why.
Yeah.
He said that the week before taught him a lesson, and that he agrees to leave everything behind, and that he's just focused on her. And I put, this shows that he can learn and grow.
Yeah.
Which is important. Again, we can learn from our mistakes and actually grow and move forward as better people.
Yeah, and him affirming what she asked, he reiterated what she'd asked and says, I agree, I think that you're right, I want to do the same thing. And so he kind of reassures her that he's following in line with what she asked of them at the end of the last episode, which is great.
Yeah.
We see them go to dinner afterwards, this is a commercial break. We see them go to dinner. He asks her, which is really great, what large hurdles she has had to overcome that helped shape who she is now, which is a great question to ask.
Yeah,
in general, it's a great question to ask, especially for the show.
And it was so much more of a direct, in-depth question than Colton's, which was like, what did he say all the time?
He says this, what made you the way you are?
Yes, that was it. That was it. Which is so vague. Like, I don't know, my mom's DNA, my dad,
like the region in which I grew up, nature and nurture.
My socioeconomic status.
Yeah, my parent, whatever.
But this was like very direct, and I loved her answer so much. So she said that she didn't want to be rejected, and she did everything that everybody wanted. And, quote, rejection is all fear, and I let that fear control me, which... that, pretty profound.
Astute. Very astute.
Right? And she said it's a battle every single day, but it's gotten a lot easier to fight, and I now have the right weapons to bring to the battle now. I don't want this fear to control me. How that translated to me was she went to therapy, got a bunch of tools, and now she can show up and be one with her anxiety and not allow that to stop her from doing things that she wants. And that was really cool to hear her articulate to him.
Yeah, that was nice, that she is aware of her people-pleasing tendencies, especially from the pageant years, and is aware of them enough to go seek treatment, and now she's able to combat her negative self-talk and people-pleasing tendencies due to the work that she's done. And it shows to me the benefit on a national TV level, the benefit of doing work on yourself and being aware of the things that you do that you may not like and the willingness to change them and how effective that can be.
Yeah, I wish that she had perhaps said how she got those tools.
Maybe she did, but they didn't show it.
What? Oh, absolutely. I'm saying I just wish it aired.
Oh, yeah.
So Garrett shares a similar story, but we cut to the hotel first, and the group date card arrives. And the group date card gets there. They read off the names, which means that Peter, Pilot Pete, is getting the one-on-one, which is awesome because he hasn't had a one-on-one, which is crazy because I feel like their connection is just so...
Yeah.
I mean, talk about palpable. Jeez,
yeah, he looked very happy to get the group date, or the one-on-one date. So we go back to dinner. Then Garrett validates what she told him about facing her people-pleasing tendencies.
And he talks about his. Thank you.
Our tea is super hot. I was warning Rachel because I burned the shit out of my mouth a second ago.
Yeah, shout out to Corksicle. They do not sponsor our podcast.
We're open to it, though.
But Corksicle will keep your hot liquids hot for so long that we may not be able to drink this tea during this episode. That is how intense it is. And they've been sitting for an hour.
Yeah, I don't know if it's honestly an advertisement when I tell them that I burned my mouth several times due to their product being better than I'd really like it to be at its function. Is that a huge, stupid complaint? I feel like it is. Anyway, again, not a paid advertisement, not even advertisement in general. It's more of a fact tip. Like, I burned my mouth so many times.
Anyway,
okay.
Garrett talks about how his whole family told him that he was supposed to play football, and he thought that he should play football and he should want to play football, but that he stopped. And now he is truly a firm believer in trusting what you want and going after it, and then having everything work out around you. And
yeah, great job. I mean, acknowledging that you did what you did growing up because you were wanted to by your family and support system, and then realizing that you hated doing that the entire time and going down your own path. That is not an easy thing to do for anyone at any point of their lives. So kudos to him for sharing that story, because I think a lot of people who are athletic in high school and in college, for other people's reasons, really suffer with that once whatever they're doing for sport is over. And I think that's a huge struggle for a lot of people. So good for Garrett for sharing that story. I think a lot of people identify with that story. He also parrots, interestingly enough, she said something early on in the episode about wanting to fall in love, and the feeling of falling in love is that scary trust where you have to hang on for dear life and jump off the cliff and just trust that it's going to work out and rely on the other person. She said that in an ITM, in the moment interview, and then he says it to her, like, hey, our bungee jumping thing today, bungee jumping thing today, that's just like falling in love because we have to do, this. And it's almost the same word she used, which is really, really interesting because he couldn't have seen that beforehand. And then he says, I'm falling in love for you.
No, so full quote, we had to pause it because I was laughing so hard.
I'm falling in love for you.
He says, laying my cards on the table. I'm falling in love for you. Big time.
You ever really build up saying something in your head and then you fuck it up right when you deliver it? That's what happened, I think. I think that he really had this eloquent thing to say, and then, I'm falling in love for you. It's okay, man. We all slip up our words. It was just really funny.
It was just really funny. So we cut to commercial, and the first thing we hear is one of the guys, which I couldn't tell who it is, say, tell us about last night, bro.
It's Garrett comes home.
And, no, it's the morning. Because he says, tell us about last night.
Oh, right. Well, it's after Garrett comes back.
Right. So Garrett starts telling them about bungee jumping. And, of course, the camera operators are totally focused on Luke P.
Yeah. It's gross.
Because everybody else is like, oh, cool. Oh, my God. Oh, naked people. Ha, ha, ha. Like, it's playful. It's fun.
It's because all the other guys get along with each other. All of them get along with each other. Except for Luke. And
Luke P. is questioning Garrett's story. He says it can't be accurate. He has to be, lying or embellishing or whatever. He was not. He
No,
told it
man.
exactly accurate.
He also says, I don't understand who would want to be naked with a guy like Garrett. What a weird thing to focus on. What a very specific personal opinion to focus on. And it just... This is that Anchorman shit that I'm talking about. Like, why would you say that? It makes no sense. It has nothing... It doesn't even uphold your version of the story.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to say. Anyway.
So then we go to the group date, which I gotta say, this group date, take Luke P out of it, because...
It looked fun.
Looked so fun!
Open air market in Latvia shooting Latvian moonshine. And it gets all buzzed.
They had pickles, and, like, Dustin ate some weird fish thing.
Suggestive pickles, too.
Yeah, very. The whole episode was, like...
So, I called this last night before we watched the episode. I was like, I'm giving predictions. Rachel and I were giving predictions for what was going to happen. And I said, they're going to hypersexualize the next episode because we saw a little bit of it in the teaser. And ABC knows that all of Bachelor Nation's pretty pissed off about the whole half-episode recap we got that no one asked for. So I think that they're trying to really hype up what sells in this episode, which is sex, and you're going to see a lot of it.
Which I will say, like, go.
It's
do
fine.
it. Like, I love the sex positivity of Hannah and how she is just being her. So overall, the group date is very, very, very fun. Hannah even tells the guys about the date with Garrett while they're on, like, a tram or a bus.
Yeah, they're having a good time.
And Luke P says, I totally thought that was crossing a line. Her body is her temple, and to expose it to anyone who isn't her husband is a slap in my face.
He said the sheer fact a bunch, too. The sheer fact. He is shocked. It is a slap in the face. That this woman with her own free will did something for herself that she wanted to do. That, like, the amount of decision making that Luke is upset about is the same decision making as, like, someone just going to pick where they want to eat by themselves. And the other person saying that their choice is a slap in the face to them.
It was just really, So then we get to the night portion, and Luke is essentially talking about how he is going to talk to Hannah about this, which, great. Like, build your own bed to go die in.
Do it, douchebag.
Cool. Like, go talk to her. Tyler grabs her first, and I just love Tyler.
So does Hannah.
I mean, who wouldn't? Let's be honest.
So, like, he doesn't even get a chance to have a conversation with her?
Well, they talk a little. He can't finish this last sentence.
They do not talk. He talks to her while she starts out with the half, like, leg over his leg thing, but, like, leaning, like, into him like this. And then he's like, I really had a good time. It was so nice to see you be happy and not burdened by the, group dynamic and all of this.
Fighter.
And then she attacks him with her mouth.
It was amazing.
Oh,
she cannot contain herself anymore.
She is too turned on to have a conversation with him.
Yeah,
that's the point that we're getting at with Hannah.
It was wonderful.
Which is it's encouraging to see this type of representation because he's like trying to talk and she's like, nobody, no, full straddle. She straddles a lot of dudes in this episode.
Yeah, she does.
That's her signature move. Becca did the leg jump thing.
Hannah's signature is straddle.
In a dress, too.
Then she is sitting watching Jed play piano and says it's really hot. Can I ask an actual serious question about Jed, though? Like, girlfriend story thing aside.
Okay.
Do they talk? Or does he just play music? No, like...
That's a good question. I have not seen them have many conversations in which he does not have an instrument in his hands.
Right? Like, I know he came on for his music career. I get it. Cool.
This episode is kind of an ad for his music career, as it turns out.
He also sucks as a singer, so...
I mean, that's subjective, but there's some truth to it.
Is being off-key subjective? I'm sorry. What?
Fair enough.
He's a good pianist. He's a good guitar player, from what I can hear. But
so musician, not singer, is what you'd say?
Yeah, he's not a good singer.
All right. I wondered if he plays the same songs for the other girl. before the show started.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he plays the same like romantic fool around songs. It's like he freestyles Jack Johnson style music. Kind of makes it up as he goes, but it's like not. I don't know. It's always the same couple lines, something about girl and passion and like whatever.
No, it was whatever. Okay, so then Luke starts to voice his concerns, and Tyler shuts Luke down in this super respectful, awesome way, where she says that he's glad that Hannah is living her life to the fullest and doing her thing. Because this journey is for her. Her decisions, her life, and he's glad that she is living it to its fullest capacity. Luke P. disagrees and in his ITM says, I'm still going to get the group date, Rose. Then they go to talk. And he says, I'm going to be honest, which is like his signature line.
Usually when when he says that, the next thing is usually a lie.
I mean, why do you need to say that if you're honest all the time?
He did say that he was honest all the time, too. So by that reasoning, she could imply that he was honest all the time. The issue is that he's never honest all the time.
So he says, I'm going to be honest. You're not going to like this.
Also, don't say that.
Have you ever been cheated on?
Oh, this is brutal.
I'm not going to lie. I had that feeling this morning. Garrett started blurting out a whole bunch of stuff, blah, 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 blah.
Also not true.
Not true. He was asked, how was your date? What did you do? Tell us about your time. And Hannah stays really calm, which was wonderful. She responds back to him that she had her own choice to make and that it was not a sexual decision, but that she wanted to have that experience for herself. She reiterates what Tyler said separately, actually. And maybe they talked about it. I don't know.
Maybe.
But she reiterates that. And he says, but still, like, I'm looking for you to meet my family soon. And I felt like it was a slap in the face. But no matter what you do, I'm going to support you. Even if you make a bonehead mistake completely out of your character and something that's wrong. And I read this quote out loud because it's referenced later in the show, so I just wanted to acknowledge that is what he says.
On camera, recorded, with his face also saying the words as we hear the words.
It was not a Frankenbite.
Yeah, no, that was 100% what he said in that situation to her face, which she heard with her ears and then remembered with her brain. That'll come back.
So then they cut back to the rest of the guys, and we do not see her with any other man on this group date. We get to see her one-on-one time with Tyler, with Jed, and with Luke. That's it.
Yeah.
Tyler gets the group date rose, which, yay. Oh, wait, let's give him a rose.
1 rose for Tyler.
These are getting squishy.
I made them like 3-4 weeks ago, and we've been moving them around a bunch.
Maybe we'll make new ones for the last part of the season.
You can fold 3
I can't make
new
these. So,
Maybe we
rose
will.
for Tyler.
I'll make a new one for whoever wins. They can have my rose. It sounds weird. The last thing Tyler gets the rose. We go to commercial.
Wait. So Luke, right before commercial, Luke says, that sucks. I was completely real and open and honest and I didn't get the rose.
Yeah, man, that's not how it works. Also, you weren't any of those things. So,
No.
Surprise. Also, he does this thing when he wraps up the conversation between the two of them because he tries to control the conversation at all points. So, once he's done just talking over her, he does the same thing. You'll see it one more time in the episode where he says, I feel so good now that we had this conversation. This conversation is good for our relationship because now I feel like you understand where I'm coming from and now it's just all understood and now I feel good and now we're on a good page. Which really means I'm glad that I could just tell you that I was mad at you for your own decisions and that I hold judgment over you. But I told you, so now I'm finished and this is positive because now you're aware that you hurt me and now we move forward because I'm controlling this. It's bad and it looks poorly. So it's time for Peter's one-on-one.
again.
Hannah talks about how she's working really, really hard to open her heart to new people and to new situations, and she's trying to be really open in general. And that's what this group date or this one-on-one date is about. She also mentions Peter's the kind of guy that you want to see with a stroller in a park. And I can tell, like, I'm sure that, you know, the lead is, like, journaling a little bit or, like, having their own, like, decompression thing at the end of the day. And I'm sure she's like, Peter in a park with a stroller. She's like, yeah, I could get behind that.
But I totally understand what she means.
Yeah.
He has this, even though he has this baby face and, like,
Nurturing.
kind of young feeling, he has that nurturing, like,
very
dad
nurturing.
side where you're like, he'd be really good with kids. He reminds me so much of young Ben Higgins. Like, when we first met Ben on Caitlin's season, just in the way that he, like, walks and presents himself, and, like, he's really handsome, but he's, like, kind of young and, like, gangly and goofy.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, Hannah also says before the date starts, she wants Peter to have all of her today. Which at first I was like, that's an odd thing to say, and then I watched the date, and I was like, no, that's what she meant. In every context.
So we can pretty much summarize this date in, like, a very small amount of time.
All right.
Cool.
Summarize.
Spiritual spa experience.
In Latvia.
Latvia. Experiencing the culture there. Steamy in both the fact that they were in a sauna and a hot tub, and also they're making out and chemistry. Good conversation, and we'll come back to the commercial with Eric and Nick in a second. Good conversation. I loved their conversation in the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about how she's the most introverted in her family and how she's always been a Spitfire. Hannah asks him how being a pilot has affected his dating life. And
great question.
Yes. Oh, this is after. I'm sorry. I jumped to dinner.
Yeah.
So that was the whole first part of the date. Was like steamy, hot, spiritual spa. That's my 4 words.
That's your 4 words. I have more words, but also a short description. Softcore porn shoot. And then Hannah is getting the Black Widow in the Avengers movies camera treatment, in which they follow her butt when it goes across the screen. And the camera's very attention to her butt situation. Which is fine. Also, they make out a lot in the spa, and Peter says, if this works out, we are 100% getting a spa for ourselves.
A sauna.
A sauna.
Yeah.
He gets the best sound bites. Early on, he says, I literally have no idea what we're going to do today, but I'm super excited to be here. And he's like so fired up just to exist. I enjoyed Peter's sound bites. So that's my summary.
He also acknowledged with her, I believe they were in the hot tub. Yeah, they were in the hot tub. He acknowledged with her that he did not like when she roped him in. So he says, like, I know that last week was really hard, and there was a lot of drama going on. I didn't like when you roped everybody into one, because I have stayed away from that, and I am truly only here for you. Mm-hmm. That's it. And I really liked how he expressed that, because he told her what he didn't like without criticizing her. And that is healthy communication. Right.
And it's a reminder, like, hey, I understand the frustration in the moment, but, like, you know I'm not part of that. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that. And I know we're crossing over the corner. We'll get back to that in a second. Also, Peter speaks fluent Spanish and basically shares a quote from his mom about going with the flow of things. And, like,
I don't know if he speaks fluent Spanish, but it sure sounded like
pretty fucking fluent to me.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so in between this, there's a commercial. And so we were critical of the Halo Top thing of last 2 episodes or whatever. And they do a really good cross-promotion in the commercial break.
This is hilarious.
They bring back Nick Vial and then Eric
Bigger.
Eric Bigger, thank you.
From Rachel's season.
And they do cross-promotion Bachelor style for the movie Annabelle. It's like some creepy doll. It's like not a Chucky movie, but it's like about the same like thing. Where
it was really fun. Like corny, obviously.
Super corny.
But really funny. Really funny.
I had a good laugh. If you're a fan of the Bachelor universe, Kingdom, World, Nation, thank you. And too many fantasy and like sci-fi stuff. I'm like, Kingdom, World. It's really funny. It's just full of good Bachelor jokes. All right.
So we come back, they're at dinner. This is when Peter speaks Spanish. He also tells her about his major heartbreak in his life.
Oh,
and that it's been difficult to let the walls down around his heart she empathizes with him and tells him that she has also experienced that and that she had discussed getting engaged 2 times to 2 different guys, but that at the end of the day, she knows that they're not her person.
Yeah.
And it was really great to see Peter open up. They have connections on multiple levels, which it reminds me of how her and Tyler are in that way.
Yeah.
Not only do they have the physical chemistry, but there's depth.
Yeah.
There's interest and respect, and they're playful and fun. They, at least from what we're seeing as viewers, in my opinion, Peter and Tyler are the best for her.
Yeah.
I love Mike. I don't think they necessarily have the chemistry. I really, really want him to be the next Bachelor.
Yeah, I'm full on the Mike for Bachelor train. It's just different. I don't know. There's just more chemistry with Peter and Tyler.
Yep.
Anyway,
so Peter gets back from his date.
they do the firework makeout thing. He gets the rose. She's very into him. They move forward. Whatever. Commercial break.
Peter comes back.
Right.
And Jed stands up while he's talking about the date, puts on his coat, and goes over to her place. And if you guys are past, like, true Bachelor Nation fans, and you watched Jillian Harris this season, you remember the guy with the guitar who serenaded her? It reminded me of that so much. And Kyle didn't watch that season, so he had nothing to compare it to. But if you watched Jillian's season, tell me, please. Because did this not remind you, I don't remember his name, but the guy with the guitar who would sing to her and was, like, singing, like, beneath at the balcony? Oh, God. So Jed comes over.
It does the thing that usually is kind of a fateful move in the Bachelor world, where you go outside of the house, you go to the Bachelorette's room, and you're like, hey, I just want some more time with you. He plays music outside of her window, they come in, he plays more music. Again, they don't talk.
That's what I'm saying!
At all. And
all he does is play!
Yeah,
and this is when I decided that he's not a great singer. Also, one of the lines in his song says, I would never tell a lie, which is very interesting considering
a lie.
The news that came out this past week.
And he also had to complain about telling a lie, being on the show in the first place. And then, maybe it was me, I heard it. I don't know, Hannah sounded like she had a couple glasses of wine after they thought they were wrapped with production for the day.
For sure.
Because she's super, super buzzed when he comes over. Which is fine. Just an observation. Because they make out a ton, and she does not want to hear him talk or play music anymore.
Kyle thought they were going to have sex.
I 100% thought they were going to have sex.
No.
I would not have been surprised, let's say that.
So they're snuggling. She seems happy.
Oh, yeah.
So this is something that you have not experienced with the seasons that you've watched. When you say it's like fateful to go over to somebody's...
From my experience of watching the show,
right.
Yeah, it's gone usually poorly for the person who does that.
So if the lead really likes the person, then it goes very well.
Like this, do you think?
Yes.
All right.
If they don't, then they're like, why the fuck are you bothering me?
That makes sense. Well, it makes sense because that's how people are. But this is the issue with social media influencing my perspective of watching the show, because I'm like, well, kind of fuck this guy. Like, I think that he's being shitty about this. But the issue is that we don't know. It's also unsubstantiated. We're not sure. Okay.
So now we need to talk about this. Garrett kind of goes back on what he told Hannah about leaving things behind.
So it's a dick measuring contest with Luke.
Yes. Now, in one way, I understand why Garrett brought this up. Because truthfully, like, Luke was the one that brought it up to begin with. Yeah. I understand that. Garrett could have just not engaged. How much the producers were like, dude, you need to go talk to him.
Yeah.
We don't know. But it felt like a deja vu that I just didn't want to have.
Yeah, I wrote down just a few words that were used during this time because I didn't really feel like it justified an actual, like, written down reenactment or, like, reiteration of it.
Yeah.
Luke basically just says something about lanes, something about clarity, something about promises, and then I wrote, why should anyone promise anything on this show? And then he says, this is where I sleep, so I'm trying to get some sleep. So if you could leave, and Garrett's like, okay, I'll leave. And then Luke's like, yeah, there's the door. But now, let me tell you something. And then now leave. So he's telling Garrett to leave, but he also wants to get the last word in to seem cool and in control of the situation. So weird, this common theme keeps coming back up of him needing to be in control of something. And Garrett's like, bro, I'm leaving anyway. And Luke's like, but leave, but listen to me. But leave while you listen to me.
And then Garrett says, sweet dreams, Luke.
It's a little petty, but it's also a great fuck you to someone who's being an asshole.
Yeah. So then Hannah says that she's been processing the conversation that Luke had with her about the date since they had it. And that she didn't really know how she felt about it. She wanted to take time to process it. Which, kudos. Right? Like, I think a lot of times we as humans get very reactive to things and don't allow ourselves time to process. Like, think about if something happens and you respond within, like, the first minute of it happening versus 10 minutes later versus an hour later versus 2 hours later versus the next day.
Right, where you probably barely remember it the next day, too.
Your reaction / response, if we're going to interchange those words, change based on how long you've had to process through not only what happened, but how you feel about what happened. Because when we're flooded, when we're in like a fight or flight mode, or just angry and our brain is just flooded with feelings, it's really hard to respond in a way that feels mindful. Yeah. And so I loved that Hannah did not use that rose ceremony night. She knew something bothered her about it, or the group date night. Yeah. She knew something bothered her about it, but she actually took the time to figure out what it was. And so because she took the time to do that, we get the scene that we get. But the way that she said it to him was literally textbook, we would coach a couple how to say. So she says, first, before that happens, she comes in, the guys are all chatting, and she says, Luke, like, I want to talk to you. Because they weren't really expecting her to come in. And then they leave, and the guys all look around. They're like, she has that face again. Yeah. And they're all aware that Luke is fucking up their chances of being around her because she is under mental duress because of his actions. And so I just wanted to key on that all the guys, is that Peter's Rose? I totally forgot to pull it earlier. Yeah. Peter and Tyler. All of the guys are keyed into her unhappy face due to Luke P's action. So the fact that they're all that aware of her and her act, it's really important to see it, I think. Anyway. Yeah, I agree. So she wants to confront him. Continue. So she says to him, and we paused and rewound this a couple times because I wanted to get the exact quote, because it was so textbook. Like, I could have not coached her better myself. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was so spot on. So she says, I so appreciate you coming to me and sharing your concerns. Okay, so she acknowledges that she asked for him to come do that. She asked for him to share his feelings and to not be a robot. Yep. So if she had just launched into it with, you said this, blah, 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 the takeaway would be, but you told me to come to you with what I felt. Right. So she acknowledges that right off the top. I so appreciate you coming to me and actually sharing your concerns. But the conversation, it didn't sit well with me. The issues were, so not only does she say it didn't sit well with her, but she says what the issue was. So what didn't sit well, right? Instead of being vague, like, I just had like a yucky feeling about our conversation. Right. She said the issues were the language that you used to describe why you were upset. And she is very calm. She's not aggressive. Nope. She is wanting to have a conversation. She's not attacking him. Mm-hmm. She wants to hear what he has to say. Absolutely. It was so well done. Yeah, she lists out the way he speaks as a problem, using terms like a slap in the face, bonehead mistakes, and then she says there's something else too, but like, do you see how this, like, those terms are not something that you use in a relationship? Like, that's not how this works. And then she reiterates to him, she tells him, you're not my husband. You don't own my body. You don't own me. You can't tell me what to do and what not to do. With which he immediately defends
on the back
Can
end
I
of
get
that.
into, and then he says, I'll be completely honest again.
So he defends her. So here's the thing that keeps coming up with him. And there's a lot of bullshit that he says. But he says, I'm sorry. I didn't give you the chance to speak on what you're addressing to me first. Which is interesting, because she is speaking about it to you right now. And he's apologizing for not giving her the chance to speak on, to hear her side of things. But the issue that I have with that is that he is holding her responsible to respond to his judgment.
Correct.
And not saying, holy shit, I'm an asshole. Why would I even say that? You're a human being with free will, and we are not married or engaged or anything.
Or anything.
But he still wants her to answer for her actions. And that's the part, see, that's the subtle manipulation. That's the little bit of emotional abuse where he's still trying to get her to feel bad and to answer for her actions. When she's like, I don't owe you shit. He's like, but I didn't give you a chance to answer for what I'm mad about.
So this sentence is exactly what you're talking about. He says, I definitely have full trust in you that you will make the right decisions. So let's break that apart for a second.
Yeah, what?
I definitely have full trust in you is one statement.
That's at the ending of it, too.
Right. I have trust that you will make the right decisions. The right decisions for who? He's talking about himself.
Right.
Not her. And then he says, I'm never going to control you. I'm never going to tell you what you can and can't do. So Hannah starts to pick up on him twisting things. Because he starts saying, like, no, I didn't say that. And she goes, yes, you did. So then, this is my most favorite moment of this argument. And it gets into what we're about to read for you guys. So Luke says, and you guys tell me if you understand what this actually means. Quote, I was totally misunderstood now that you're bringing it to me that way. I'm going to read that one more time. I was totally misunderstood now that you're bringing it to me that way. If I said that, so she says, you said that you wanted to feel confident bringing me to meet your family, which she's correct. He did say that. Remember from the beginning. He says, if I said that, I didn't mean it. I want you to feel confident in meeting my family.
Okay. So, there's something called the Narcissist Prayer. And I honestly don't know where it originated, but it's been something around for a long time. And I'm going to read to you the Narcissist Prayer because this is the 5th line of the 7-line Narcissist Prayer.
You're going to read the whole thing, though, yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is the Narcissist Prayer. I want you, the listeners and viewers, to wonder about if you've heard these before from Luke. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it.
Yeah.
We are at line 5 of the Narcissist Prayer. If I said that, I didn't mean it. A direct, recorded quote from Luke P. in the most recent episode of The Bachelorette.
So then he says, if you feel that way, I'm sorry I was misunderstood.
Which is basically saying, you misunderstood me, and that's your fault.
So instead of saying, I'm sorry you were hurt, I'm sorry you felt angry, I'm sorry I was misunderstood. And he said, I don't know if you totally remember everything I said. And she directly, no, I do. Which this moment, so what we witnessed in this conversation is somebody starting to realize that they're being manipulated and gaslit.
Yes.
She is starting, we use the example of like the wall being a different color. She's starting to be like, wait a minute, You told me it was purple yesterday, and then now you're telling me that you didn't tell me it was purple? I remember that you told me. Like, nothing he's saying is starting to make sense for her, which is awesome. Awesome.
So they do the same thing that he usually does. Braceheart's saying, this is going to be great. This is a good thing for our relationship. I'm glad we had this conversation. I'm sorry I was misunderstood. And I can be better this time. And I'll move forward. And then he makes a statement. He says, forgive me.
And within that, he says, I'm doing my best. And if you feel like you can't handle it, I continue to try and fight harder to do better. But you know what? Right now, I'm giving you myself and I'm giving you the best I have. So she starts crying and she says, I want a man that doesn't take me screaming and being like this to get to this point. And he says, it will be worth it if you just please keep fighting.
Fighting what?
So that conversation, I thought overall went much better than the other interactions. I thought that Hannah was solid in what she was saying, and she's starting to see not just like the robotic side or the drama with the guys, but she's starting to actually pinpoint lies.
So I agree with you. And we go to a commercial break, we come back, and this is something that abusive people try to do, is to control information.
Yeah.
To leave their victim in the dark and only listening to what they tell them.
Which, just before you get into the scene, because I want you to explain it, this is abuse.
Yeah.
We've said it on a lot of different episodes, and I've had some DM conversations with people on Instagram, if you want to write. Physical abuse is not the only type of abuse.
Yeah.
This is emotional and psychological abuse. So when we use that word, we're not using it lightly. We're not like using a word and then having it be too harsh for the situation. He is textbook emotionally and psychologically abusing her.
Yeah.
I wanted to clarify
Thank you for the
that.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
All right, go for it. This is I don't even want.
So he gets back from being chewed out by Hannah, which was amazing. And he goes to the guys, and he sits down.
Sorry.
I thought you were saying that because the tea is super hot.
No,
I definitely burned my mouth.
it's still hot, but
Yeah, my mouth is burned.
I hit the banner.
Anyway, so he sits back down with the guys. Now, okay, hold on. Here's the thing. Mike motions to the empty spot where he was sitting before he left. Like, hey, you can sit here if you want. No one that we saw asked Luke to say anything. So everything that follows this, from our perspective, is completely unprompted. And that's an important thing to take note of, because some weird shit is about to happen. So
Luke says, I know you're going to ask me about this, so let's get it over with.
you don't know. These guys don't give a shit about you, man. They fucking hate you. Like, they just want you to go. They don't want to hear this. So he says, what we talked about is completely between us. So don't talk to her about it. Don't bring it up. Don't ask about it. That's something abusive people do, because they're trying to control and manipulate the amount of information that their victims have access to, which is why he doesn't want the other guys going to her being like, hey, what did he say? This is what he told us afterwards. He's trying to control the situation, which is not a good thing. So he doesn't want the guys talking, and he is basically just sort of telling them to leave them alone, to leave him alone. And Tyler just interrupts.
Wait, no. So he says this wouldn't have come up to be a conversation in the first place. And I'll say this too. Tyler interrupts and says, wait, hold on. Are you blaming him, meaning Garrett? Are you blaming Garrett for talking about his date? Now, in that moment, Luke could have been completely honest and said, yeah, I'm pissed because this caused conflict for me. And he says, no, I'm thanking him.
Which is odd. So this is what happens when someone who's gaslighting for the majority of their life starts to lose control of a situation.
Yep.
Because you see him give half-formed sentences, statements, and arguments for the rest of this scene.
Yeah.
Because the guys, mostly Tyler, just don't give him a place to create a foundational lie. They keep him off of his toes, so he has to keep making things up quickly.
It was actually very impressive. Tyler handled this with grace.
I wrote, Tyler fucks Luke up in front of the guys.
It was...
So he calls Luke out for puffing his chest up. Literally says that. He says, keep puffing your chest up. Keep doing this, man. No one's buying it. No one's believing you.
Because he points at them and says, right. You stay in your lane, you stay in your lane, stay in your lane.
Right. So Tyler keeps countering everything he said. None of them give him a second. Mike's not giving him a second. Garrett keeps making comments like, you're lying. This is not true. That didn't happen. And Tyler keeps calling Luke out when he tries to get out ahead of everybody else. Then he does something amazing. Tyler, I wrote down now, he's my favorite person, no matter what happens to him in this season, because of this scene. He goes to Luke and says, hey man, why can you walk around here in a Speedo all day, flexing your muscles all day in front of everybody, constantly being in a state of undress, which we don't see, by the way. He's talking about things that the show has not shown us. Why do you get to do that all day, and then you're upset for Hannah doing the same thing on a date with a guy that she's into? That's a double standard, man. Can't you see that? To which Luke has no response. So then, Luke just kind of word vomits for a second and then says, you know what? I don't even want to talk to you guys. Dude, you fucking started talking. No one asked you to say anything. If you just shut your mouth the entire time, you wouldn't have been openly attacked by all of these guys for lying to them. All they're doing is saying, hey, you're lying. And he's like, I'm not lying, you're lying. And they're like, no, you're lying. See, because we all agree that you're lying. It's a group consensus here.
It was Tyler pointing out this double standard was so...
brutal.
Spectacularly brutal in the best way.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I will also say I appreciated that it wasn't Garrett fighting this fight. Other guys started to step up to just be like, this is not okay anymore.
Well, and they mentioned, they're like, hey, dude, don't ruin this cocktail party. Because if you do, that's going to be 3 cocktail parties that we don't get to have in a row because of your actions. Chris Harrison enters, and he's like, hey, guys, no cocktail party. Hannah wants to go right to the rose ceremony. And all the guys are like, wow, man, 3 in a row.
So I wrote this down. So Chris walks in and he says that. Luke's walking out, or Chris is walking out, and Luke says, I just want you to know this isn't... Mike cuts him off, and he goes, that's your fault, brother. Shut the fuck up. And then Tyler goes, 3 in a row, Luke. Keep it up.
It was amazing.
It was so good.
This is your fault,
First of all,
bro. Shut the fuck up.
That's your fault, brother. Shut the fuck up. I was like, yes, it is.
Man.
Like, she's upset. Granted, she was going to send those 2 guys home regardless of what happened with Luke. Like,
I wanted to toss that out. They never had time.
So, is it Luke's direct fault that there is no cocktail party? We don't know.
But I think that it is his direct fault that these guys are going home because they were never afforded the ability to connect with her.
So that I agree with.
And that's why the 3 in a row thing is so impactful because, I mean, they're all saying, we're all in this for the same reason, and the format is designed to give all of us a fair chance, and you being such a piece of shit to her, to us, has prevented these good dudes from not getting a chance to do what they came on the show to do. So you're at fault for this.
So, and that's what, when we come back from commercial, Dylan says that because of the Luke P drama, he personally has not gotten to talk to Hannah all 3 of the last cocktail parties.
Yeah, outside of a group date, he has not been able to speak with her at all.
Which, again, she probably can tell that it's not like her person, but
still,
you don't know what is going to come out of these conversations. Also, when... I'll just skip ahead just for a quick second. Yeah. When she sends him home, she says, like, thank you for sharing so much with me.
Yeah, Dylan got a really, really great goodbye from her.
You could tell that they had a deeper connection than we got to see at all. Yeah. So if they already had some sort of depth, who knows what that extra time could have done. It's just that I'd be livid.
Right. Oh, we forgot Garrett.
Oops. Oh, perfect. So
rose
they go
time.
straight to the rose ceremony. I wrote down that if I were the Bachelorette
Oh.
My top 3 at this point would be Tyler, Peter, and Mike.
Yeah.
And 4th would be Jed, just out of the guys left.
Yeah.
Knowing what, like, not knowing what I know. Who would be your top?
Peter, Tyler, and Mike, yeah.
Yeah. I really like them.
Yeah.
Okay, so roses. So Tyler and Garrett have roses.
So does Peter.
And Peter.
Basically 3.
Thank you. And then the first rose goes to Jed.
Mm-hmm.
Then to Mike. Then to Connor, who I
genuinely,
literally forget about.
Yeah, I forget that he exists a lot. He's got kind of a Christian Bale thing going on. Like Batman Christian Bale face.
Connor, and the last rose of the night goes to Puke.
And then he goes up there and she's like, I know there's good in you, and I'm going to keep working to something.
So this is a classic.
Yep.
Narcissist tendency. I'm not diagnosing anybody, but he clearly has narcissistic tendencies.
He's on line 5 of the prayer.
He's on all the lines of the prayer.
I mean, yeah, he's done them all this season, actually.
Yeah. So we have the narcissistic type with the people-pleasing type. This is a match made in dysfunctional heaven.
Yeah.
And
It's not good.
I can speak both from a professional standpoint and from a personal standpoint as a recovering people-pleaser. When I was in the throes of the worst insecure people-pleasing times of my life, the people that I dated were the most narcissistic
That makes sense.
of all of the people that I have dated in my life. Because there is something beautiful feels beautiful in trying to fix somebody. And it's essentially like busy work. Like you're keeping yourself busy from doing what you actually want to do because you feel productive. That's busy work. Trying to fix somebody is like not trying to look at yourself and wanting to avoid conflict and wanting to avoid any sort of dissonance.
Yeah. So as Luke gets his rose, thank you for that. That was good. As Luke gets his rose, Tyler starts looking very pissed.
He's pissed. This was actually the most angry looking that I've seen Tyler.
So far, he's been fairly unflappable. He was fairly flat.
Wait.
Unflappable.
Wait, spell that. Unflappable?
No, unflappable. Like he can't be flapped.
I thought you said unflappable.
Oh, unflappable. He was fairly flat at the end of this.
I've never heard this word.
Unflappable? We're gonna look it up. Yeah, we're gonna look it up real quick.
Okay.
Unflappable.
So Dylan leaves. She says, "Thank you for everything you shared with me." I'm really excited to see him in paradise because clearly he has a lot more to him than we got to see on the show. So I'm hoping that we get to see that on
Unflappable.
Paradise.
It's an adjective. Having or showing calmness in a crisis.
Hey!
He is unflappable.
I learned a new word today.
Synonyms: unexcitable, cool, calm, collected, controlled, self-possessed, cool-headed, level-headed, relaxed.
Whatever. So Dustin leaves. He says, "You're a wonderful girl. You're strong, and you're going to find your man."
That was nice.
Yeah.
Nice from someone we barely got to see on camera. So what we're seeing being built up for next week is... Yeah,
they
we're on
go
the next
to
week
the
thing.
Netherlands.
They go to the Netherlands.
She says that she's falling for different guys in different ways. And there's a clip of Luke saying, "She's falling in love with me for sure. It's like I know."
Oh. Did we even mention that Jed told her that he's falling in love with her when they were making out?
No.
Jed told her that he was falling in love with her, but honestly, I couldn't care less.
Well, falling
for
love.
No, falling in love for her. It still sounds so bad.
I can't. Okay.
The guys all hate Luke.
There's some sort of conflict between Peter and Luke, which, like, what did Peter do to you? He hasn't said anything. Leave him alone.
Yeah, I wrote, upcoming, Luke manages to lie more, backstabs Peter, and yells at Garrett.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the last clip of the preview is Hannah crying, saying, "I don't know what to do. I've never been surrounded by so much fighting, and I'm scared."
Well, you keep bringing on the person who's causing all the conflict.
Okay,
however,
production
is the one who is responsible for this case.
I really hope that he goes home soon, and yet we all know based on the season preview that until we have that red leather jacket night, he's not leaving.
Yep.
So hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
Who knows?
We're not spoiled. We don't want to be spoiled. Please don't spoil us.
Yep.
Otherwise, I think it skews the way that we comment on it. Even knowing the Jed stuff and the Garrett stuff skews how we were perceiving the show last night. So I really don't want to know what happens. I think Luke makes it to hometown dates, and I have a feeling that conversation that they have is the fantasy suite week.
Yeah, looks like it might be.
Despise the fact that we're going to have Luke for that long. Yeah. I don't want to meet Luke's family. I don't want any of that. Do you guys want that? Do you want to see that? I don't want to see it.
All I know is that apparently, according to social media, Tyler has been having fun runs in Central Park and on the Upper West Side, and he just seems like a very nice guy.
Yeah, he's great. We're in New York. Maybe I'll try to find him.
Yeah, we'll get him for an interview or something. Ooh.
Oh, that'd be cool. We'll reach out to him.
If you're watching this, Tyler.
Start a social media campaign, you guys. Tyler coming on the right reasons.
Tyler here for the right reasons.
So the very last blooper clip at the end was, honestly, aside from Jed, who unfortunately was playing the piano, Tyler and Mike were dancing, and I was laughing so hard. It was so refreshing after just so much drama.
Well, yeah, there's a couple other the guys there, but Luke's not there, and it's the rest of the guys having a really fun time together, which is so interesting how that always seems to be the case when he's gone.
Yeah.
Everyone has fun, and it's low-key and relaxed, and the show is really good. Then they bring him on, and the show's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's mine. Any more takeaways? I think we're
wrapped. I think that overall it was a good episode. Yeah. I'm glad that we're back to format with having a rose ceremony in the same episode. Nothing really surprised me. No. Per se.
I'm always a little surprised at Tyler, every time. I'm like, oh, wow.
Well, yeah, I guess that...
His confrontation of Luke was very, very well done, and he made it all about Hannah, not about his own thing. He's not like, I'm pissed off because you're being a douchebag. He's like, hey, what you're saying is not very kind to the person we're here for.
And Tyler just continues to show up for Hannah, and not defending the date for Garrett's sake, but saying, dude, she's her own person, let her decide. He's great. So good. I'm really excited, frankly, to see how this unfolds. I think overall, as much as I disagree ethically with the fact that Luke P is even on this television program, that being said, that set aside, I'm really enjoying the season. Yeah. I think that Hannah is doing a very good job. She's communicating so well, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds. I hope that she does not end up picking Jed, if the allegations are true, or Luke, because watching this season back and hearing the commentary on both of those people now would be absolutely devastating. It's going to be hard enough watching this whole thing back as her. If she picks one of those two, it's going to be even harder. So I just hope for her sake that she doesn't end up picking one of them, and that whoever she does pick, if she does end up with one of these guys, that she's happy, and that's it.
We'll see. I think that's the end. I got nothing else.
Thank you guys for being here with us. We have so many of you here live, which is so cool.
Yeah, thank you for watching live. Make sure you subscribe. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you for listening to the entire episode. And make sure you drop a rating and review, and make sure you subscribe to that as well. And this
share
has been,
this. Yeah. Share this with your Bachelor friends. The Bachelor world is so incestuous, you guys, that the best way to get word out about our podcast is to just share it with other people who watch The Bachelor. We heard, I was mentioning this the other week, we heard somebody shared about it in the Bachelor subreddit, which was really cool. So, share this with your family and friends who watch The Bachelor. We would super duper appreciate it, and we just want to get the word out. Yeah. So, thank you for being here. We love you guys. We couldn't do this without you. And we will see you next week for episode 7. I'm so excited.
Me too.
The Netherlands.
I like the Netherlands. All right, that's it. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.